Hi and welcome to another video from me, Christopher at DBG. We are still doing a deep dive on this core rulebook. We are currently going to cover deployment abilities and stratagems. So in theory it should be a short video. Just wanted to get those two specifically by themselves, especially stratagems. So let's take a look, see what it's like, see if anything's changed. Let us know what you feel, what you think, comment, subscribe, all of that jazz. Be all much appreciated. Let's see what we got. So let's have a listen to deployment abilities and then we'll cover the stratagems. Let's see what's different. Do comment. Be interested to know what your thoughts are so far. If you haven't seen any of previous videos, do check out the playlist for Warhammer 40K 10th edition, as I have broken down everything previously to this already. If it's first time doing here, I have a software to read the document out loud because of my dyslexia, but also I feel it helps just go with that. It does make the video a little bit longer than normal because obviously it's reading at a little bit different speed, but hopefully you'll be able to follow and it sort of helps us just a little bit with the rules.
Deployment abilities. Some abilities are used during deployment or when setting a unit up, either on the battlefield or into reserves. These are known as deployment abilities, and some widespread examples of these are presented below. Some units make their way to battle via tunneling, teleportation, high-altitude descent, or other extraordinary means that allow them to appear suddenly in the thick of the fighting. During the declare battle formation step, if every model in a unit has this ability, you can set it up in reserves instead of setting it up on the battlefield. If you do, in the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models.
Which ignores vertically.
Unit can be set up in reserves instead of on the battlefield. Unit can be set up in your reinforcement step, more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. Scouts form the vanguard of many armies. Unnoticed by the enemy, they range ahead of the main force. Some units have a Scout's X listed in their abilities. If every model in a unit has this ability, then at the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, it can make a normal move of up to X, as if it were your movement phase, as can any dedicated transport model. Such a unit starts the battle embarked within, provided only models with this ability are embarked within that dedicated transport model. A unit that moves using this ability must end that rove more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. If both players have units that can do this, the player who is taking the first turn moves their units first. Example, a unit has the Scout 6-inch ability. At the start of the first battle round, the controlling player can make a normal move with that unit of up to 6 inch. Scout's X unit can make a normal move of up to X before the first turn begins. If embarked in a dedicated transport, that dedicated transport can make this move instead.
Interesting. Must
end this move more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. Core rules deployment abilities.
Always picks up the header.
Many armies employ reconnaissance units who can sit concealed, waiting for the right moment to strike. During deployment, if every model in a unit has this...
Let's just see what that actually is. Infiltrators. Alright, didn't read the infiltrator. Didn't read the infiltrator, but read scouts, I think.
This ability, then when you set it up, it can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from the enemy deployment zone and all enemy models. Mighty heroes fight at the forefront of battle.
Leaders.
Some character units have a leader listed on their datasheets. Such character units are known as leaders, and the units they can lead, known as their bodyguard units, listed on their datasheet. During the declare battle formation step, for each leader in your army, if your army also includes one or more of that leader's bodyguard units, you can select one of those bodyguard units. That leader will then attach to that bodyguard unit for the duration of the battle and is said to be leading that unit. Each bodyguard unit can only have one leader attached to it. While a bodyguard unit contains a leader, it is known as an attached unit and, with the exception of rules that are triggered when units are destroyed, page 12, it is treated as a single unit for all rules purposes. Each time an attack targets an attached unit, until the attacking unit has resolved all of its attacks, you must use the toughness characteristic of the bodyguard models in that unit, even if a leader in that unit has a different toughness characteristic.
Okay, no mixing.
Each time an attack successfully wounds an attached unit, that attack cannot be allocated to a character model in that unit, even if that character model has lost one or more wounds or has already had attacks allocated to it this phase. As soon as the last bodyguard model in an attached unit has been destroyed, any attacks made against that unit that have yet to be allocated can then be allocated to character models in that unit. Before the battle, character units with the leader ability can be attached to one of their bodyguard units to form an attached unit. Attached units can only contain one leader. Attacks cannot be allocated to character models in attached units.
Interesting and different changes to 40k. Let's go over them backwards. So, leader is you can join a squad if you have the special rule leader. Now, there's something that does have a leader that's already been announced, is like the Primarch and the Gene Sealer cult. The Gene Sealer, not Primarch. Yeah, it's Primarch. He sort of that Gene Sealer. He has the word leader, so he could join a squad. Where Gilliman doesn't have word leader, but he has one called that he has an aura effect, where if he's within range of certain things, he becomes a lone operative, so he can't be targeted in that way. So there's different ways of a leader or HQ not being targeted. I think the majority of things will have the word leader, where bigger HQs such as Gilliman, maybe even the Lion and things like that will not necessarily have the word leader because of that bodyguard rule. So you have to get rid of bodyguards first from the unit before the leader can take wounds from normal shooting. Now we've already established precision shots when we've done the shooting phase that you can target the leader, and the shooting rules are if a model has been wounded or shot or targeted, all wounds and saves have to be allocated to that model first before you move on, where bodyguard is the exception to this. If a leader has taken a wound and you shoot at that squad again, the bodyguard take on the following wounds. It doesn't all go on the leader. So it's nice to clarify that. It makes your leaders and your HQs that little bit safer. Makes sense. And I'm glad it's been clarified. Things like that. Infiltrates hasn't changed. Deep strike hasn't changed. Again, I think you might be able to deep strike first turn because you have that step. It doesn't say you can't, so we might have to try and find something else that says you can't. But at the moment, it seems like you can deep strike first turn, which makes a lot of alpha striking armies a bit like what we first had in 8th, was it, or 9th? You just have everyone deep striking first turn, and it just became almost like a one turn game in a sense. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but is what it is at the moment. And then scouts, where they can move a set number of inches depending on what is on their scout rule. Interesting thing is that scout unit is embarked on a vehicle, the vehicle moves. So there's some things that will come up, but there isn't that much. But yeah, interesting. It's pretty straightforward, and I don't think there's any real big changes. Nice little artwork. We've seen that one before. So let's move on to all-in massively convoluted thing, which was stratagems in the last edition. It was so much, too often, too powerful. Everything was just too. It was awful. But they've broken it down a little bit on here, and there's less more powerful ones. I think arguably this could change. And that is where I'm worried about. We've had codex creeping before. When new codex comes out, it gets more new stratagems, and And that isn't any different. There's already been told that each army is going to have their own individual stratagems, but not as many. But even interesting is new codexes come out, they become more powerful. You know, the object of trying to sell something that's new and shiny is also advantage if their rules are really good. That has always been the case since Second Ed. So it's just always been there. If you're a hobby in this game, you sort of expect that happens, and then things get edited, and it'd be interesting if we get erratas as quickly as we have been getting in Ninth, to fix and rebalance. But let's go ahead and let's see what we're going to get going forward.
Command points can be spent during the battle to use stratagems. All players can use the core stratagems presented here. Additional stratagems can be found in codexes and other publications. When you use a stratagem, reduce your CP total by the amount listed on that stratagem. If you do not have enough CP for a specific stratagem, you cannot use it. You can use the same stratagem multiple times during a battle, but you cannot use the same stratagem more than once in the same phase.
Yep, that hasn't changed.
To use a stratagem, you must pay the CP specified. The same stratagem cannot be used more than once in the same phase. Stratagems key. Either player's turn. Your turn.
This is a change.
Opponent's turn.
Making it clearer.
Command RE roll. Core. Battle tactics stratagem. A great commander can bend even the vagaries of fate and fortune to their will, the better to ensure victory. Stratagem categories. Each stratagem belongs to one of 4 categories, as described below. There are some rules, especially in Crusade games, that interact with stratagems of a particular category. Battle tactic. These stratagems bolster a unit's efficacy in battle, boosting their attacks or defensive capabilities at a critical moment. Epic deed. These stratagems are used by individual models or units to perform mighty feats of heroism. Strategic ploy. These stratagems enable units to gain new strategic insights, granting them a small but valuable window of opportunity. War gear. These stratagems represent the effects of using specialized items of equipment in battle.
Okay, so we were established how you gain stratagems. Each player at the start of the round gains 1. Nice and simple. And then they're broken up into things either using your turn, or any turn, or your opponent's turn. Really simple on that. There is a Master of War gear can cost stratagems. I think my reading thing is going to go really weird when trying to read all this, so we'll break it down. So command reroll, or reroll is what I'm trying to pronounce. In any phase, just after you've made a roll to hit and wound, a damage, a saving throw, an advance, a charge, a desperate escape test, hazardous test, or just after you rolled the dice to determine the number of attacks made with a weapon or an attack model or a unit, you can re-roll that test or save. Interesting, you can't re-roll the number of points you gain for a victory objective, for example, because it's not listed in there. And this is just to clarify how many there is re-rolls, and there's certain things that can't be re-rolled, even with the command re-roll. 1 CP, that's standard across the board. Everyone's got that already. It makes sense. Counter-offensive. When is it? It's a fight phase just after an enemy unit has fought. One unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units and that has not already been selected in this phase, your unit fights next. So remember I clarified about having fight first? It doesn't give it fight first, it fights next. So it means you can dictate when that counter-offensive is going to happen. Interesting. 2 CP, that is exactly how it is now, but you're not getting that fight first thing. That's the important thing, and that take from that. Epic challenge. Now this is something new. I've heard about this, but I wasn't quite sure how they're going to work it. So in a fight phase, when a character unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more attached units in the selected fight, so that's what it is, target one character model in your unit. So you pick your character. Until the end of the fight phase, all melee attacks by that model have the precision ability. So it's not like Heresy, where you used to always like move the models, move the 2 HQs or the sergeants when you did a challenge and you moved them apart and they sort of fought by themselves a little bit. This is your leader goes, do you know what, I'm having that leader, so I spend 1 CP and all my attacks are going against that leader. Now remember, precision shots do not target like sergeants or special weapons or things like that. They are just against other people, other things with the core ability with character, or a keyword of character. So next up is the blue, which can be used in your turn. It was your turn, wasn't it? Yeah. Blue for you. Insane bravery. 1 CP. When during the battle shock step of your command phase, after you have failed a battle shock test from your unit, from your army, so this is what's important, is when you failed it, so it means you don't need to, you can see the results first before spending. Currently in 9th, if you go, I want to stay with that unit, insane bravery means you don't take a leadership test, or in this case a battle shock test. So target the unit from your army that battle shock test was taken, or even through battle shock, units cannot normally be affected by the stratagems. As we said before, if they failed a battle shock test, they normally can't have stratagems used on them, but this is the exception. Your unit is treated as passed the test instead, and therefore not affected by battle shock anymore. I like the fact that you can see if you fail it first before you spend. At least then you're rolling dice, you're having fun, you're seeing what happens, and then you go from it. Grenade. This is a new one. It is your shooting phase. One grenades unit from your army that is not with engagement range of any models and that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Select one enemy unit that is not within engagement range of any units from your army and is within 8 inches and is visible. It's visible is really key to your grenaded unit. Roll d6 for each 4+ that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. So you pick 6 dice and any 4+, I take a mortal wound. Bit meh, but I'd like it to have been a 3. I mean, that would have been better, or would have been better. I think that would have played more the spend of 1 CP. Tank shock, something new as well. Your charge phase. That's when it happens. One vehicle unit within your army. Until the end of the phase, your unit. Yeah, my words are going now. Until the end of the phase, after your unit ends a charge move, select one enemy unit within engagement range of it. Then select one melee weapon your unit is equipped with. Roll a number of d6 equal to the weapon's strength characteristic. Okay. if that strength characteristic is greater than 2, down 2. Oh, my eyes are going. Sorry. If the strength characteristic is greater than that enemy unit's toughness characteristics, roll 2d6. Okay. For each 5+, that enemy unit suffers a mortal wounds to a maximum of 6 mortal wounds. Okay, just trying to have a look. A Lamb Raider? Look at that, because it's a beast. So it's got strength 8. Is the Lamb Raider for its melee attacks. Roll a number of d6 equal to its strength characteristics. So you'd roll 8 dice. And on a on a 5+, you do a mortal wound. That has a better than the grenade, I think. You can get some really high strength vehicles out there. Roll 2 additional d6. Is greater than the enemy unit characteristics. Roll 2 additional d6. Okay. So a strength 8 Lamb Raider against the most infantry units is going to roll d6, then to see how many 5+, and then rolls additional 2 more, which will just create 5+, not adding like d6 more hits. It's just an additional flat d6. So most times vehicles running over things are gonna be stronger, because it's not being double or anything like that. It's just if you are stronger than the character's toughness or the unit's toughness, you're going to be rolling d6 for the number of the strength of the weapon, and then an additional 2 more d6 to get that magical 5+, to get the mortal wounds. That actually could be really deadly, I think. Has a lot of potential. So that's all the blues, and that's what you can use in your turn. What's interesting is obviously you can't then do tank shock. If someone's charged you, for example, it's just if you've ended your charge, it's all about you in that sense. Same as grenades, same as insane bravery. So makes sense so far. That is the blue stratagems. So next up is red, and that is what you can do in your opponent's turn. And there is more of these. So rapid ready. Rapid? Yeah. When? 1 CP. When does it happen? At the end of your opponent's movement phase, target 1 unit from your army that is in reserves. That unit can arrive on the battlefield as if there were reinforcement steps in your movement phase. Oh, I can see that being used a lot. If you've got deep striking army, you're going, do you know what? You finished movement, now deep strike something. You cannot use this strategy to enable a unit that has arrived on the battlefield during the battle round. It would not normally do so. Fair enough. So there's restrictions. So if it's in reserves and actually could deep strike or tunnel for Genocide cults, essentially it could be there already. It's a good way of getting some screen up in front. Your opponent has moved, they wouldn't know what to charge, and then bang, something lands 9 inches away from them can really change the pace, change what they want to do, basically. Interesting. Okay. 1 CP for Overwatch. Fury shouldn't have changed. Your opponent's movement, when your opponent's movement or charge phase just after an enemy unit is set up, or when an enemy unit starts or ends a normal advance or fullback charge. Wait a minute. I'm overwatching you in your movement phase. Well, this could be really over the top powerful. Really over the top powerful. When can it be used? Your opponent's movement or charge phase. It's a bit like a heresy reaction in a sense. But a lot more filth. Just after enemy unit is set up, or when an enemy starts or ends a normal advance, or you can do it before they move. Seems, yeah, no, okay. Hopefully it's got some better restrictions. Let's read on before we start making guesses how broken that is. 1 unit from your army that is within 24 of the enemy, and it would be eligible to shoot if it were your shooting phase. Okay, so you've got to be 24, so you're not having this I was imagining like a devastator squad of las cannons just being at the end of the battlefield in one corner going, hey, before you move, I'm taking some shots. Okay, so it's a little bit closer. Still, though, not too sure about that. Your unit can shoot the enemy as if it was a shooting phase. Okay, we'll establish that. That's the effect. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a range attack, an unmodified roll of 6 required to score a hit, irrespectively of the attacker's weapons, ballistic skill, or any other modifiers. You can only use this strategy once per turn. Okay, good. Good. Imagine using that more than once. Okay. Okay. So you got to roll 6s to hit. So it's not like they're doing it on their normal BS. Because then it would be BS. Alright. So it ignores your ballistic skill, and you just Overwatch. Mainly, it's definitely downgraded from that. But interesting what Tau does to Overwatch if they suddenly +1 or to hit on 5s. If you're moving, they're shooting you. I can see that being spent almost every turn. Just get an extra unit shooting in. I think that's really still good. 6s though, I don't think it's going to affect too many things, but I think if there's a way of increasing that from codex specific, then that's when it becomes a little bit overpowered. Even by 5s, I think that can drastically change a lot and become too powerful. Go to ground. When does it happen? Your opponent's shooting phase just after the enemy has selected its targets. One infantry unit from your army that has been selected as the target to one or more of the attacks or unit attacks. Until the end of the phase, all models in that unit have a 6+ invulnerable save and the benefit of cover. We haven't gone through terrain yet, but okay, so get shot. I know we're all going to lose loads of models. I'm not getting any saves. I might as well go to ground, get a 6+. Hope that some of them are there. Yeah, okay. Like that, I think Guard have got something similar at the moment anyway. Or they used to, not in this edition, but a couple of editions ago, you could go to ground and get a +1 cover save, non-vulnerable save. So that's quite cool on that. Smoke screen, I like the fact that these are all 1 as well. Keep things nice and simple. Your opponent's shooting phase just after the enemy has selected its target. One smoke unit from your army that has been selected as a target. One or more from the attacks. So exactly the same wording in a sense from go to ground, but it can apply to anyone because it says unit. Doesn't apply just to vehicles. So until the end of the phase, all models in that unit count the benefit of cover and stealth. I cannot remember what stealth does, but it goes up +1 to hit or something. -1 to hit. Page 20. I'm quite a few pages behind, so should we go and have a look at stealth? Stealth. So you get a benefits cover plus stealth. Range hack against them all, subtract 1 to hit. Obviously you can't have +/-2, so if you have anything coming else that's going to affect them, you've got it there as well. Okay, makes perfect sense. You know, you're a little bit stealthy. Oop. Heroic intervention. Your opponent's charge phase just after an enemy unit ends their charge moves. Okay, so they do all their charges first. No, it's not all their charges. It's just after an enemy. Okay. So they've charged. You can then do it, basically. One unit from your army that is within 6 inches of the enemy unit and would be ineligible to declare a charge against that enemy unit, or be eligible to declare a charge against the enemy unit if it was their charge phase. Okay, so you're not doing a long bomb, you've got to be within 6. Fair enough. Your unit declares a charge move that targets only that enemy unit. So you can't do multiple, so you can't tag multiple things on this. You resolve that charge phase as it was a charge. So you still need to roll, you just not automatically gain 6 inches to be able to go in. You can only select a vehicle unit from your army if it has the walker. Today is a walker, so it has a walker keyword. Note that even if this charge is successful, your unit does not receive any charge bonus this turn. Do they gain strike first though? 29. Sorry, I'm jumping now. The end of the fight phase has to strike first. So did it say it doesn't get it? I'm doing really dense today. Does not receive any charge bonus. So heroic intervention does not get you strike first. Okay, that could lead you in more problems than good then, because they've charged you, or they've charged their unit, and then you've gone into combat with them. So they can still hit you. So okay, interesting. Well, that is everything for the stratagems and everything for the battle abilities. Next video I'll go over the strategic reserves and terrain. So I hope you enjoy. Please like, subscribe, all of that jazz. Interesting changes. I like it. I think it's just going to be playing it becomes natural to use, or get used to the stratagem wording. It's nice that there's more things that are generic. Arguably that means there's going to be less things that are going to be in codexes, but you've still got a lot of stratagems here generically. You know, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 seems a really odd number. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, you got 11 generic stratagems. So, but that's what it is. So please like, subscribe, all of that jazz. Hope to see you soon for the next video as we continue through this rulebook.